like this. It kind of feels like I'm at a sleepover, but I was told to dress up. Hey guys, welcome back to Live from My Basement. I'm your host, Lauren, and today we are talking, as you can tell by my baddie wig if you're watching on YouTube, about James and Fuhad and their whole thing. And I'm not really a whole big fan of like talking about drama, at least not on the internet. I can't help but play with my hair. I'm not used to it touching my face. Um I'm not really into talking about drama for the sake of it, at least not on the internet. I'm more used to talking about it like to my friends and then being like, "Oh my god, did you hear what happened?" and then like that being the end of it. But I did think that it gave me a really good example of a lesson for people in the entertainment industry in general, like not just what's the word I'm looking for? Not just content creators or podcasters, but actors and writers and everyone who interacts with people at their job. Honestly, I think that their situation gives a really good lesson for kind of knowing your audience and knowing who you're speaking to and knowing what and almost anticipating what your audience is going to want from you. Now, I want to be clear that you can't please everybody, and I'm not going to admonish or support what they did. I'm speaking about it from a completely neutral, third party looking in sort of way. Because honestly, I didn't watch their podcast before all of this blew up, and now it's all over my YouTube. And I figure, what better way to ride the coattails than to talk about it? So, I'll talk about that, and then we're gonna get a little bit into the Ice Spice Cleotrapa situation, and I might wrap it all up there. We'll see what kind of time we're at. So, as always, we start with supporting the arts in this house. So, what am I reading? I'm reading Feel Good Productivity by, let me make sure that I get his name right, Ali Abdaal. Abdaal? Abdaal. I don't have my glasses on, but I'm pretty sure it's Ali Abdaal. I should really listen to the audiobook so that I know for a fact what it is. I'm mostly watching Shauna the Mom and Drew Talbert. Shauna the Mom is I watch her TikToks because they're longer than her YouTube shorts, but she has this I don't have kids, nor am I having kids anytime soon, but she basically talks about like the experience of moms and like these like great skits, and like right now they have like a whole thing. She has like this overarching storyline where like the sister-in-law character it gets pregnant. I don't want to ruin it, but like it's so good, it's so entertaining, and I look up like her videos every single day to like I look up her account every day and I'm like, please post because I want to know what happens. The 30 seconds to a minute is not long enough. I need to know. I need the character development, Shauna. And then Drew Talbert is mostly on YouTube. I think he might also be on TikTok, but I watch him mostly on YouTube. And he does the Bistro Huddies series. Also, have never worked in a restaurant. Don't care. I am sat consistently. I love Nicole's character. He plays all the characters, but that is, I mean, that's an actor, man. Like those two, those are actors. Cause I am sat. I am in it. I don't care. I'm like, I will watch all however many episodes from the beginning. Oh, and then I feel like I usually only let people do like one, but this is my podcast, so you're gonna get three. Also on YouTube, Dana and the Wolf, they do this series uh, that's called The Poly Couple. And it starts off as these like 1 minute YouTube skits where they just have like a couple of new characters. And now it's like full 8 minute, like little short episodes. And it's so good. And I watched it from like day one when they started putting it out, and I don't know what episode they're on now, but I love watching people get better at their craft. I love watching people get better at the thing that they're doing over time, and it really shows you like you have to just start, and not to say that it was bad whatsoever, uh just to say that they definitely figured out, camera angles, and they figured out resolution, and they figured out editing, and it went from like 30 seconds to a minute to 8 to 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Like they are making like mini short films, and they're so good and so entertaining. And all of these people post like once a week, and I'm like, I need Netflix has ruined me, because I'm like, I just want to binge it. And so I have to go back and I have to watch all of them. But yes. So let me go back. What I'm reading is Feel Good Productivity by Ali Abdaal. And it is about being more what it means to have fun while being productive. And the importance of it is that he says something in there that's like, what would this look like if it were fun? And what would this look like if it was an adventure? And it's so good, because it's like, you don't have to, being productive doesn't have to be boring. And if anything, the more fun you have, the more productive you are, the happier you feel, the more that you're doing something and you're like, blasting music would make this more fun, or singing really loudly would make this more fun, or listening to this while I'm cooking would make this more fun or more enjoyable, the more productive you end up being. And I love that. I love the idea of that. And then once again, check out Shauna the Mom on TikTok, Drew Talbert on YouTube, and probably TikTok as well. And his Bistro Huddy series, and Dana and the Wolf and their Poly Couple series. And they're also musicians, so you could check out their music too. And then what am I listening to? Sabrina Carpenter's album on repeat. Right now, my favorite is Bed Kim. I listen to Taste probably every single morning. At least 3 times, because it makes me happy and it scratches an itch in my brain. And then Juno is just adorable. And also I've seen videos of her like pointing out cute guys in the crowd and like handing them, like fuzzy handcuffs and being like, I'm dedicating this song to you. And Sabrina Carpenter is just, she's so fun, and her tour is so fun. And I'm like, I love this for you. And I wanted to go to her tour. I wanted to go to the stop in Atlanta. But September, unfortunately, is my no spend month. And tickets, I don't know if tickets will sell out by October when she's supposed to be here. But I wanted to, basically, as an actor, I spend a lot of money. I spend a lot of money on headshots. I spend a lot of money on workshops. I spend a lot of money on acting classes, on equipment, stuff like that. And so I try my best to not spend frivolously, but I'm not good at that. I'm not great at not spending money. And so I have sort of hit this point where I have credit card debt. And I'm like, I need to pay this credit card debt off. But I can't keep doing that if I keep spending money. So I decided that I wanted to do a low spend to no spend month because I have bills. So instead of not counting those, I count those as a spend, uh, and I try not to spend anything frivolously. And what that means is I didn't buy Sabrina Carpenter tickets, which makes me really sad. My favorite live play D&D, it sounds so nerdy. So I watch live plays of D&D, and Brendan Lee Mulligan is kind of my favorite person in the world, and he is coming in October. And I was like, I want to buy tickets really, really bad. I want to see him. I just want to watch him do stuff. And Zach Oyama is also going to be there, and they're all from Dropout TV, which is fantastic if you want to check it out. They do live plays of D&D games that Brennan GMs, and they also have other GMs, and they're very good. And I really wanted to go. I wanted to go so bad. I wanted to go see Sabrina Carpenter. I wanted to go and watch D&D live. I wanted to do a bunch of workshops. I wanted to go see Jackie Ina at Sephora. I wanted to do so much this month. I wanted to spend money. The money was burning a hole in my pocket. I got paid and I wanted to spend it. But the importance of longevity in this business is that you have to treat it like a business. And that means that sometimes you can't do the stuff you want to do because you've already done the stuff that you wanted to do before, and now it's on a credit card and you have to pay that. And the fun thing about credit cards, just to get into a boring little financial tangent, is that credit cards charge you daily. They don't charge you at the end of the month. They charge you daily. So if your amount on the credit card is more the next day than it is the first, if it's more on the second, they're going to charge you on the second too. So they're charging that 25% on the $500 you have on it the first day, and the $503 you have on it the second day, and the $510 you have on it the third day, and then all of that culminates into the final amount. And if you don't pay it off at the end of the month, your 25% credit card ends up costing you $111 in interest a month. That was crazy to me. Did you know that? It's crazy the amount of interest that you get paid, and then the whole chase glitch thing. Oh, they're definitely gonna raise it up. I just know it. That's gonna come back on us somehow. But it will, all of that to say, you have to, in this business, be aware of what you're spending money on. And while it hurts to my core that I didn't get to see Sabrina Carpenter or Jackie Ina or Brendan Lee Mulligan, I have it in my brain that if I am meant to see those people and do those things, it will come when I am in a financial place to enjoy them. Because right now, the stress of having to worry about my credit card makes the enjoyment of those things less enjoyable. Because I'm sitting there and I'm going, oh, well, it's only $50 to see Brennan, but that's $50 on my credit card, and my credit card already has X amount of money on it. And then to see Jackie Ina at Sephora, it's another 100 and something maybe. And then to see Sabrina Carpenter and not be in the nosebleeds, it's another 100 and something dollars. And all of it adds up. And then after that, it's not just, oh, I spent, $50 on this thing. Now I've spent $300 this month. I only make $1,500 to $2,000 to however much a month. All of that is sitting on a credit card. That credit card is accruing interest every day, At the end of the month, I'm going to be sitting there with however much on a credit card, and they're going to give me an interest fee, and then I'm going to owe more on that, and then they're still charging interest on that new interest fee added. So, all of that to say, this was my no spend month. And at what cost? I was literally talking to my best friend last night, and I was like, I miss Jackie Ina in ATL. And she was like, what was she doing there? And I was like, she had a makeup event. And she was like, why didn't you go? And I was like, because it's my no spend month and I couldn't. And she was like, at what cost? And I was like, I don't know. It wasn't worth it. But I have not bought anything frivolously all month. Even when starting this podcast, I was like, I want a new mic, and I want one of those boom arms that's really cool, and you can bend it all kinds of way, and put it like right up to here for audio. And I want a new interface, and I want I was like, I'm gonna spend like a cool $500-600 on this setup. I'm gonna make it really professional. It's gonna really, pop. And I started to add things to my cart. And I window shopped on Amazon for a little bit, and I was like, oh, and I have some ideas for a little like short film that I want to do. So I got to get this outfit and this thing and that thing and this prop. And then I looked at my Amazon cart, and I was like, that's like $1,000 that I'm about to put on my credit card. And could I afford to pay it off? Sure. But then I also have bills. I have a mortgage, and I have, subscriptions to things, and I have acting classes, and I'm like, what am I willing to give up for the $1,000 that I'm about to spend on this new podcast setup and these outfits for the short film and these new lights and stuff like that. And I was like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep robbing Peter to pay Paul. Like, it is inhibiting my ability to enjoy the things that I want because I'm worried about paying for stuff. And I can't live like that. And I know that life is really expensive right now. So like, it's very hard to get out of credit card debt once you're in credit card debt, especially unless you could just pay off a credit card. But I'm trying, and I'm going to keep trying. And the rest of the year, I'm going to keep trying. I may not be able to swing a completely like low spend, no spend month for the next 3 months because I still want to do stuff. But I am at the crossroads of what is more important, delayed gratification or not being able to enjoy the gratification that I have because I have the stress of how much it cost. So, all of that to say, I am listening to Sabrina Carpenter's album on a repeat to make me feel better because she scratches an itch in my brain that makes me happy, especially Taste, especially Espresso, especially Juno, and Bed Kim has a special place in my heart, like right there. And so that is what all of that long tangent is what I am reading, watching, and listening to. Now on with the rest of the episode. So for those of you who don't know what happened, and this happened weeks ago, so honestly, I'm a little late to the party. But James and Fuhad run a podcast called Shts and Gigs. And you probably seen like little clips of it all over YouTube Shorts or all over TikTok. Like the marketing is on point. And they were on a podcast that I don't watch with two women not who specify not from Atlanta, but are in Atlanta. And James and Fuhad were here for a tour, I guess. And they were like, the two women had asked them, um, is there anybody, have you seen anybody, have you met anybody kind of thing? And they were like, no, there's just no baddies in Atlanta. And the two girls were like, oh, well, we're not from Atlanta. And I was like, it doesn't matter if you're from Atlanta. Like, this is a whole tangent, but it doesn't matter if you're from Atlanta. Because, like, what they're saying is essentially, we didn't find anybody attractive while we were here, which is not, that's not like a crazy thing. I didn't find anybody attractive while I was here is one thing. How they said it was the problem. There are no baddies in Atlanta, especially because Atlanta is predominantly black. And so people took that as, we didn't see any like bad black women. We didn't see any beautiful black women, which is not true. I mean, being in Atlanta myself, first of all, I look in the mirror every morning. But also, I mean, if you didn't see anybody attractive in Atlanta, your eyes weren't open. But at the end of the day, it was the two girls going, well, we're not from Atlanta, like, and sort of like placating it. That was weird, because it was like, it doesn't matter if you're a transplant to Atlanta. Like, in Atlanta, if somebody's like, nobody in Atlanta is attractive, then like, that's one, a wild statement, but two, they're talking about you too. So that whole thing happened, and people were kind of up in arms about it. Like, it was a little quiet for a while, and then it sort of got pulled out. Then they went on Andrew Schultz's Flagrant podcast, which I also don't watch. And the whole clip went something like this. There was another guest, and he was talking about how white men glow up when they start dating black women. The black girlfriend effect, the black wife effect, where, you know, they start dressing better, and yeah, the facial hair is on point. They get a lineup for the first time in their life, sort of thing. They get a fade. And I have my personal opinions about the black wife effect and all of that. But specifically, to stay on track, one of the other guests said something about it. And then James and Fuhad started really hyping it up. They were like, yeah, you know, white men, they really started glowing up. Like, they started getting fades and lineups, and they look fresh. And, you know, being with a black woman, it really elevates you, kind of thing. And then Andrew Schultz laughs. And he's like, nah. It's the reason that they get fades. And he goes, and he sets it up, and they should have seen it coming. Because the way that he sets it up is he goes, you know why? You know why they start getting fades? And he waits, and he gives it a beat. And then he's like, because their hair's falling out, because black women are stressing them out. And the guys giggle. I wouldn't call it a full-on laugh at first. The guys giggle. And then Andrew Schultz keeps going, and he's like, yeah, and the reason that their beards start getting bigger and well maintained is because the black women are beating on them. They gotta hide the bruises. And then it's a full head back laugh, teeth showing, molars from the guy, from James and Fuhad. And you don't really see the other guest. Like, honestly, he has caught very little to no flack for this. Honestly, I don't even remember his name. That's how little he's talked about, which is so interesting. Because like, I honestly couldn't even tell you if I remember the camera panning to him when that joke was told and whether or not he laughed too. But the point is, James and Fuhad, they head back, hold stomach laughter. And some people in the moment laugh at bad jokes. Absolutely. You will be like, I have laughed at inappropriate jokes in like a, oh my God kind of laughter, where it's just like a, oh, that's out of nowhere. They seem like they laughed because it was funny. And that's interesting. But all of that to say, they then come out with an apology, if you can call it that, I guess. And it wasn't really an apology, it was more of an acknowledgement. That's literally what they say in it. They're like, hey, We want to acknowledge, we want to talk about some stuff that's been floating around. And we just want to say, we were in fight or flight. We were trying to get past the conversation as quickly as possible. You think you're going to be the person to call out injustice, but you don't know who you're going to be until you're in the position to do it. And then from there, you just have to sort of deal with it. And everybody was like, weird, but okay, whatever. And then Andrew Schultz comes out because the man won't let them breathe. And he was like, no, because if y'all wanted me to take it out, you would have just taken it out. You asked me to take out a bunch of stuff in that podcast. And let me be clear. Let me be crystal right here. Podcasts, for the most part, are not live. This is live from my basement, but this is not live. Cut it out. If you think it might if you think it might ruffle some feathers, cut it out. And that's the thing. I think that's the culmination of where I want to start, because now that you have the summary, I want to say the reason that I don't think they cut it out is because I don't think they thought people would be offended. I don't think they thought it was that bad, and they should have just said that. From a PR standpoint, people were already mad at them about the baddies in Atlanta thing. And then for them to then have something like right after it, the internet is forever, y'all. So like, people are just going to start digging up stuff that you said. So like, to have it back to back already put people on edge. And then to have that video, not even apologizing, just really sort of acknowledging it, just be quiet. Honestly, I would have preferred if they had just, fallen off the face of the earth for like a month, gotten themselves together, talked to a PR team, and then come back and then talked about it. I don't understand people who are like, as soon as something happens, I have to come out with this very bad apology video. I just take a second, take a breath, let people do their deep dive talk pieces, think pieces about it. And then once you have the general consensus of how the public feels, go to a PR team and just ask them what would be my best course of action. And then do that. But give it a couple of weeks. Give it a month. Let it breathe. Because people don't want an apology right away. People are still mad. And that's the thing about apologies is like, yes, people want an apology. They want you to tell them, I'm sorry for hurting your feelings, or I'm sorry for this thing that I did that caused this reaction or this thing to happen to you. People want that. But they want to be mad about it first. People don't want to admit it, but they want to be mad about it first. They want to sit and they want to sulk and they want to be upset. Give them a second and then come out and apologize, because after that, they've already been mad. They've been mad, they've cooled down, and then your apology is going to reach the people that aren't just mad because they wanted to be mad. They were genuinely hurt by it. And all of that to say that I think the reason that all of this really blew up is because I think James and Fuhad forgot their audience. Because Andrew Schultz and Shts and Gigs have completely different audiences. Andrew Schultz's Flagrant podcast is very male-centered, analytically, and he says stuff that is meant to rile people up all the time. If you watch Shts and Gigs, they don't really talk about race. They don't really rile people up. Like, it's very much two dudes joking around with each other and then, moving on. They don't really have super out there statements very much. Like, it is a surface level, jokey joke, chill podcast. It's two friends joking around. So that works for their audience. And also, they're two black men. And women, specifically black women, love to uplift two funny, chill, unproblematic black men because we love them. And so your audience, if it tends to skew more black women, you have to keep that in mind. And I think when they went on Andrew Schultz's podcast, when they went on the Flagrant podcast, they forgot who they were talking to, because now they're talking to a man who has a completely different audience and is used to saying all this crazy stuff, and his audience just sort of accepting it, especially the men that listen to Andrew's podcast. They have different senses of humor. Everybody does. And so they hit a point, very much so, where they were probably watching back the podcast episode that they were on, and they were taking out stuff that they knew their audience wouldn't like, or that they felt made them look bad. And then I think they forgot who their audience was when they left that last joke in, because they were like, well, we didn't say it. We didn't say those things. We just laughed about it. Clearly our audience is going to know that we don't agree with it. And they didn't. Their audience didn't know that they agreed with it. And so it's like, if you're going to assume what your audience is going to be okay with, then you need to be prepared to be wrong. Because if it doesn't hit with your audience, especially if you already had to apologize for something that happened earlier, if you've already had a scandal, for lack of a better word, you have to be so careful. And this is where it pulls back to, in general, as a public-facing person, as an actor, a director, a content creator, a podcaster, any of those things, you have to be aware of your audience, and you have to look at your work like you would as an audience member. If I watch this, does this represent me? Does this represent what I want my audience to see me as? If I look at this and if I make a joke, if I laugh at a statement, whatever I say, does that represent me and who I am to my audience? Because it's a I hate to throw around the word parasocial relationship, but lots of people see podcasters and actors as their friends, as their close personal friends. Chappell Roan has this problem right now. Most actors do, most artists do. But Chappell Roan has been at the forefront of this problem right now, where people are like, I wanted to like you, and then you started talking about this, or you're mean to the paparazzi, which we all agreed were like, treat people poorly. We all agree the paparazzi treat people poorly. And then she yells at a paparazzo who was yelling at her, and people were like, yeah, you're being mean to the paparazzi. And that's crazy to me. But people will see public-facing figures as their best friends, as their homies, as their one-on-one confidants, because they're used to seeing them on a camera and really getting a general vibe of their personalities. And so you then have to decide whether or not what you're saying in your content and the songs that you put out and the shows that you're in, things like that, if you are putting forward the image that you want to give to your audience. Because at the end of the day, somebody's going to be offended. Yes. And even if you do the most unoffensive content in the world, somebody's going to hate you. So if that's okay with you, then that's fine. But for a show like Shits and Gigs, and people like James and Fuhad who run on being likable, you have to then sort of cater to that likability. And they didn't cater to that likability. And if you are going to be like a Drew Afualo, and you're like, I don't need to be likable. Not only do I not need to be likable, I never claimed to be likable. Then great. The stuff that you put out, the stuff that she puts out, reflects that. It's stuff that she goes, I don't need people to like this. I just need to like it. And their acknowledgement video, their apology / acknowledgement video made me think that made me feel, and once again, I am a outside viewer looking in, made me feel like they want to be liked. They want to be likable. And so that means that you then have to cater to that likability. You have to cater to those people that like you. And so as you all go on your journey to becoming public figures, whether that's actors or content creators or musicians or anything like that, you have to decide what your public facing image is. Do you want to be likable? Do you want to be liked? Because it's going to be different than if you're like, I don't need to be liked. I just need to put out my art and people who are going to like it are going to like it. Are you people's best friend? Is that your image? What is the image that you were portraying to people? What is the image that you were giving to people? Are you best friends? Are you homies? Are you, is this just a low kiki? Or are you putting out your art or putting out your content and you're like, the people that like it, and the people that don't. You have to decide what your image is. And then your content has to reflect that. And I think that kind of goes into the Cleotrapa Ice Spice thing just a little bit. And this may be drama for drama's sake, because I genuinely, I don't know these people, and I don't know very much about that situation. But I will say, if you haven't seen the videos about all of it, congratulations. But basically, Ice Spice invited Cleotrapa onto her tour, and then, according to Cleotrapa, allegedly treated her like absolute trash the whole time. Didn't give her a dressing room, didn't pay for a hotel room, didn't invite her to go eat, didn't put her on the list to get in, stuff like that. Like I said, I don't know these people. I wasn't there. So what I will talk about is also, with knowing your audience, you have to treat people the way that you want them to tell people you treated them. Because it's like, treat people the way you want to be treated. Yes, I think that is a golden rule that is beautiful. Treat people the way they deserve to be treated. Absolutely. Treat people the way that you want them to tell people you treated them, I think, is most important when you are a public facing figure. When the public perception of you is important, I think treating people the way that you want them to tell people you treated them is very important. Because at the end of the day, it's very important to be nice, and it's very important to be respectful. But it's also important to know that your name and your reputation are everything in this business. So if people meet you and they're like, oh, they were terrible to work with and they were mean to me, you're never going to get, or you might still get other people who want to work with you. There are plenty of people who are awful to work with, but they, make a great movie or they make great music or whatever, and so people keep working with them. I'm not saying no one will ever work with you. What I'm saying is that your name is so important because with Ice Spice, I'm sure that people will still go on tour with her, but this will always live in the back of somebody's mind when they're offered to go on tour with her. Because, like, Sabrina Carpenter went on tour with Taylor Swift and she had only good things to say. And so when other people are invited on tour with Taylor Swift, they're jump at the chance immediately. Now that people know this is how Ice Spice treats people she doesn't like, but she'll still offer to bring you on tour. So it's not, it becomes, oh, she's invited me on tour, so clearly she must like me. She would never do that to me, because that's not true. Now it's, is she inviting me on tour because she likes me, or is she inviting me on tour because she hates me and she wants me to feel little? And like I said, all of this is alleged. We weren't there. We don't know for a fact it happened. But now it is all anybody's talking about. I haven't heard a single person talk about whether or not her tour was actually good. I haven't heard a single person talk about whether or not her last album was good. And I may just not be on that side of whatever internet I need to be on to hear that feedback. But the only thing people are talking about is how poorly she allegedly treated Cleotrapa. And I've heard a couple people talk about how good Cleotrapa's set was, regardless of the fact that she went on at 7:30 and the show started at 8, or how good her music is. She has gotten great publicity, and Ice Spice, the only thing she got from people knowing about the fact that she was on tour was people going, she was on tour? Why didn't I hear about it? And she treats people poorly on tour. And that's not, if all publicity is good publicity for you, then, that works. You stay in the public eye, sure. But if all publicity is not good publicity and you want good publicity, you have to treat people the way you know they're going to tell people you treated them. I know that when I'm in a public-facing space where people are going to see me a lot, I have to smile a little bigger. I have to watch my face a little bit more. Because I have RBF. I am at home and chilling, and I know for a fact that I don't look entertained, and it's because I'm not on. I'm not on all the time. I'm not on at home. But when I'm out in public, when I am teaching classes, or when I'm public speaking, or when I'm on set, I'm on. And I'm happy to be there, and I'm kind, and I'm respectful, and I ask questions when I need to, and I make everyone feel as welcome and happy as possible, because at the end of the day, what I want my reputation to be is that I am good to work with, I am fun to work with, and I am happy to be there. I don't want my reputation to be that she sat in a corner and looked upset, because I don't want to have to run it back later on and explain, no, I wasn't upset. I was, a little overstimulated, so I went in a corner and I calmed myself down, and then I came back and I did my job. I think people who are like, yeah, I do my job and I go home are great. I think they're efficient, and I think that, if that's what they want their reputation to be, that they do their work and they go home, that's fine. But I learned early on that I like my reputation to be, she's awesome to be around. She lights up a room. She makes me feel more comfortable. I like that that's my reputation. And so I turn it on and I up it when I'm around people, so that when they leave my presence, they feel good. They feel happy. They want to be around me more because of that. So all of this to summarize and all of this to wrap up, know your audience, know how they see you, and know how you want to be seen, and act accordingly. But as always, I leave it up to you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Was I right? Was I wrong? Do you listen to Shits and Gigs? Do you listen to Andrew Schultz's podcast? Did you watch Ice Spice's tour? Or was the only thing you saw Cleotrapa's videos about it? Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow the podcast. I drop new videos weekly every Tuesday. And as always, thanks for listening. If you like it, tell a friend. If you didn't like it, don't tell nobody. And I will see you next time. Bye.